Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else joining us today to the Sheffield United Way match reaction after our 1-0 defeat to Luton Town. Blades. That was awful, weren't it? Beyond the game, let me just get it out early. It wasn't just the game that was awful. I had to get the 76 bus home. It's been stuck in the snow somewhere. That was also awful. So I'm in a terrible, terrible mood. So I apologise to you all in advance. Admittedly, there is not going to be much positive coming out of my mouth today because that was absolutely terrible. I can't begin to describe how frustrated I am that at home, we're second in the championship, right? We've got a team steaming up behind us who have been coming and coming and coming. We go away midweek, we get ourselves a 7-point lead. And you're thinking, right, all we've got to do now is try and keep going at home. We put in that performance in a game like this against a team that's in the playoffs. Why have we put in that performance? You just can't do that and expect to be thinking that you're going to play Premier League football in 10 games' time. Are you kidding me? I mean, earlier in the season, we went through runs of wins and losses. We had a really bad period where we got injuries and we lost a number of games during that run. But even when we were losing, we had something of an identity. I thought we always had a plan for how would we score a goal, how would we win a game. We always had the traditional United stuff where we would try to get wide, we would try to overlap, we would actually try to create by going around the outside of teams. If they clogged us up outside, it wasn't working, we could come in the middle, and we had players who could get their head down, could run at a man and try and beat him. That was our plan. We had a clear structure for how we would score goals and how we would beat teams. Today, we saw none of that. There was no identity. There was no plan for how we were going to score a goal against Luton Town. From the first minute to the last one, we never put together a single attack of note. We never created or looked like creating a chance because we just had no plan or identity for how we were going to get from our midfield through a packed defence. We just never looked like doing it. It's not just that there was no plan, there was also no fight. So there's one thing to say tactically, we didn't get it right and we didn't have a plan for scoring a goal. What you can still do on that pitch as a footballer is try and win your battles. We had no battles won today. And when I say that there was no fight, I'm not doing this whole reactive, oh, they didn't put any effort in. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they lost every individual battle on that pitch. If they kicked it forward to their strikers won the header. If we kicked it forward to McBurney, their defenders won the header. If there was a 50-50 in midfield, Luton won the tackle. If there was a loose ball to sprint for, Luton won the ball. They won every single physical challenge. We were physically dominated today. Absolutely dominated. So we lost on tactics, we've lost physically, but mentally we look shot. And I mean that by there was no coordination between the players. How many times did we get the ball and just kick it out of play? How many times did we pass it too far in front of a man who was never going to get it? Pass it behind him when he's already made his run and it's just rolling to them. It's just in every key facet of football, how you play and are successful at playing football, we got it wrong today. There was no identity, no physicality, and no mental strength to stand up and be countered. But as is traditional match reaction kind of style, let's go through the game and let's try and find some zen. Pre-game, we'd made two changes. You'd got McAtee coming in and you'd got Basham coming in. You got McAtee and Basham going out and Ellen Fleck coming in. Now, personally, I did think at the start that midfield doesn't really work. It certainly didn't in the game. It was flat. It was low energy. At one point in the first half, we had Sander Berge sat in front of our back three waiting for a pass and Ollie Norwood pressing their defenders. That's not how we play football. That's not Ollie Norwood's best role. It's not going to get the best out of him, but it's not going to get the best out of Sander Berge. That is what he does well. Let him go forwards. Don't swap them around from those different positions like that. That's just stupid. Just doesn't make sense. So I don't know what Doyle's done wrong to not get in this team. I thought it was man of the match against Spurs, and then we've just not seen him since. Maybe he's kicked Eckenbottom's cat or something like that off the pitch. So he's not getting picked for that reason, but genuinely, I don't understand quite why we've gone like that. So even before the game, there were a couple of things there where you thought maybe this isn't working. But let's think what happened during the game. I've got some notes here that I took at the game, and I've got, for the first 42 minutes, nothing. It was a really, really rubbish game where nothing happened for 42 minutes. I've then got, in capital letters, we've had a shot! Because for the first time in the entire game, we actually played a little bit in their half. Sanderberg got his head down and went to run forwards. He tried to cross it. It deflected out for a corner. From the corner, Anel wins the header, and their keeper, he made it a little bit dramatic, but he made a save, and we'd had a shot. I mean, that's all there is. That's all that happened in the first half, according to my notes. And I've just written that there's no word strong enough for how bad it was as a watch. Like, not just United were rubbish. I thought both teams were rubbish. Just to give it the due, I thought that Luton were probably playing their game plan really well. I think they did what they wanted to do by frustrating United, by shutting us out of the game, by winning all of those battles, which is what they do so well. Let's not discredit them. They're a very good team, and they're in the playoffs for a reason. But in that first half, we just played into their hands and made it such a low quality game. Honestly, I honestly believe that it would have been more entertaining 45 minutes if we'd called the game off and I'd gone to Bramall Lane, sat in my seat and watched the snow melt. Because for 45 minutes, it was just a terrible, terrible watch. Never mind that United were also rubbish. Second half, I did think we came out where we actually had a little bit more about us. We had 2-3 minutes, maybe. Let's not pretend it was anything better than that. But 2 or 3 minutes where we at least looked like we might run forwards with the ball, where we looked like we might put 1 or 2 passes together. Then, of course, we conceded almost, I think, about 10 minutes in. So we'd had a good couple of minutes, a scrappy couple of minutes, and then they scored. And it was terrible from United's perspective. Again, though, really good from Luton's perspective. We let them get down the left side way too easily. I think it's Adebayo. He leaves Fleck for... He just sends him for a taxi, basically. Fleck's going one way, and Adebayo is past him into our box, charging to the byline, pulls it back. I've got no idea who knocked it in, I'll be honest, but somebody's coming in at the near post, gets between the United defenders, just steers it in at the near post, and it's as easy as that to score against us. Now, when I said before about no plan going forwards, this is where we really needed that plan, because at this point, we've conceded a really easy goal. It wasn't that hard to score against us today, so how are we going to get back in the game? Are they going to make it just as easy for us to score? Of course they're not. Because that's not what other teams at this level who are going for promotion to the Premier League do. Because they're just better than that, generally. And we've got to be. I then don't think much else happened. You know, I'm looking at our subs here that I've got written down. Norwood for Doyle, Robinson for McAtee. We did we just threw strikers on. I think Sharp came on for Fleck, wasn't it? And it's just throw strikers on the pitch as if that's going to solve our problems. We had no structure to play through. And tactically, those subs were just... They didn't make any sense. They weren't creating anything. They weren't giving us a new style or something different to offer. They were just, let's put some strikers on at centre forward and surely that'll mean that we score a goal. It all comes back to there being no plan today. No identity for United. And every sub just made it worse. And we just didn't create. Like, in the second half, we still didn't create anything. So we're 1-0 down, 30 minutes left, at home. And all I've got in my notes is that every now and again, McBurney headed it and their keeper really comfortably caught it. Like, we never would have scored. In fact, if there was a second goal, it would have been them. Because I think it's about the 90th minute. Their keeper gets it, boots it long. And their lad just flicks it past Egan, runs in towards goal. And as he's running towards goal, he takes it too far wide, ends up putting it wide at the far side. But again, that's a better chance in the 90th minute from their keeper just kicking it long than we've had in 90 minutes because we've never looked like creating. Just nothing at all. So that's it. We just didn't create anything. That's the highlights of the game. It was dull. It was boring. Nothing happened except they scored. Breathe. I need to breathe. Need to breathe because I'm just so annoyed. It's at this point that normally we would go through the players, but I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth me calling out any player for having been good because there isn't any. And I don't think it's worth me calling out anybody for being particularly bad because they were all awful. I think if I was picking out a player who frustrated me most, it was probably Fleck. I think first off, he just looked off the pace. I don't think he's fully fit again yet. I think he's got work to do to really establish himself back in this team. I think Doyle should be playing going forwards, and I would very much like to see that. Right. let's have a look at some of your comments and see if any of you are feeling even a little bit more positive than I am, because I'm aware that I've not had a single moment of positivity on the entire stream so far. And I'm going to start us off with some real positivity from Stuart. Clearly not going to make the automatics. And you know what? If you asked me today, I would agree, because I just don't think that we've got it in us now to really force ourselves over the line. I think, for me, what's concerning is not, like I say, it's not necessarily just the results. If we had the results but were playing all right and we thought we were being hard done to, we thought we were being unlucky, that's one thing. I don't think we've been unlucky today. I don't think we were unlucky at Blackburn. I don't think we were unlucky against Middlesbrough, against Millwall. I just think we weren't good enough in those games. And the performances have got the results that they deserve. And that's what's worrying, because it seems as though Borough are just beating everybody fairly comfortably. And we really need to find a way to do that. Sunderland midweek is key, because if we lose at Sunderland, we then don't play next Saturday because we're in the Cup. So come this time next Saturday, we could already be in third place. If Borough win both of their games midweek and next Saturday, and we lose to Sunderland, we will be third going into the international break. That seemed almost inconceivable a month ago. That's how bad this run of form we've been on is. Now, I think we can turn it around. I think we've got it in us after the international break to regroup, to really put something together, and to show what has taken us to this position in the league. We are second for a reason, and we need to get back to what that reason was, which is having a clear plan, having an identity, having a structure, and getting some players back in form. And I think, unfortunately, that means that Sander Berge probably has to sit out for a little while, because he's not played well for weeks. We need to make sure that the players who are playing well get in this team, and the players who aren't are being challenged and taken out, because at the minute there's no jeopardy. Those players know they will play week in, week out, regardless of what their performance level is. And that's what worries me about the automatic promotion race. I still think we can do it. Of course we can. We know what we've got in us, and we know that we can go on a run. But right now, today, I'm very, very worried about that, because we've got to get better than we are at the minute. Nicholas agrees. He's gone for the same. He thinks that it's likely going to be playoffs. And don't get me started on what will happen if we are in the playoffs. Alan comes in to say this has been coming for a while, simply not good enough, plus they are terrible to watch, not like Sheffield United. And I agree, actually. I think that's the key thing for me, that it has been terrible, terrible to watch now. Not recently, not just this game. I think for a number of weeks it's been really poor to watch. If we're honest with ourselves, there were times when we were winning games and it was rubbish to watch. It's not just an overreaction to today's result. I want to be clear on that I still believe in this team. I believe in the form that we have had and how good we have been at times. But recent weeks, the performances have been really poor, and we need to step up. We need to take action and really need to try and react to this, because we can't just continue to let this season drift the way that it is doing at the moment. Chef Paul, what more could we do to help the chasing pack? Maybe we should send Njai out with his legs tied together. Well, to be honest with you, at the minute, teams seem to have figured out that if you stop Njai, you do stop a lot of what Sheffield United are good at. I think a really key part of it so far is that 2-3 men now mark Njai, and there's nobody else who's getting forward to create. And that's a real worry. You know, we need to find a way to get the most out of Njai. And if we can't do that, and if teams are going to continue doubling, tripling up on him, that we've got somebody else who can pick up that reins. You know, we think it should be Sander Berge, but it's not being. So who is it going to be that stands up and is really countered? Maybe, well, I've always looked at Jayden Bogle as somebody who can do that. But again, another one who just wasn't able to really get into the game today. Very frustrating. JohnEgan.com. Extend the gap, lose the gap. Extend the gap, lose the gap. Indeed, that does seem to be the rhythm of the last few weeks. Obviously, I think it was 4 and then 7 and then 4 and then 7. And now it's 4 again. Hopefully, you know, I would take it if we can continue that. If we can extend the gap again midweek, I would be absolutely delighted. But I just don't see it coming. Can see we've got some Luton fans in the chat. And you know what? Fair play to them. Because I thought, actually, to be fair to them, it's a great away performance from their perspective. They've come here, they've nullified United. They've shown why they're a team in the playoffs. And I want to make sure that we do give them due respect, because what they're doing with their budget, with obviously the distractions of Nathan Jones leaving, a new manager coming in, it's really impressive. And they are a very, very good team. So all props to Luton fans. I think they've done really well. And I think they probably will be a team who kick on into the playoffs. And I certainly wouldn't want to play them. based on what we've seen today, I certainly would not want to play them. Hecky tried to play it safe with squad selection and it backfired. I think that's true. I think we needed a little bit more today, certainly from that midfield. I can, to an extent, see why McAtee was brought out of the team. If we think back to earlier in the season, we think back to that game when we went to Luton away. We drew 1-1. And McAtee, I think it was his first start, and he had an absolute stinker. Maybe you left him out because he was thinking about that. He was thinking about how last time he got bullied, he was kept out of the game. He was really pushed into his shell. So I could maybe understand that, but I still think even if you're taking McAtee out of that team, it's got to be Doyle coming in. He's shown what his level can be, and he can create his dead balls. I think the only time in 90 minutes today that United even looked remotely like they could have a chance was right at the end. He took one corner, which caused a little bit of chaos. Their keepers flapped at it. It's come back to him on the wing. He's put another really dangerous ball in. And while we didn't get anything, we at least had a little bit of a scramble. So that's something. And I think Doyle really does bring that. And I think not having him in the team is a bit of a mistake. I really do. And I think we need to get more than that. Can see a lot here saying about sort of Fleck reflecting my comments, starting to think about what can we do? What does it look like next season? Got here Alan, they don't want it. And again, I think that comes back to just losing all those physical battles. It's just frustrating. I think we're all frustrated. I'm reading through these comments and everybody agrees it's frustrating. It wasn't good. We're out of form. We're losing battles. We're in a real battle now for this top two. It's difficult and it's really, really tough. And hopefully, we can find our way back to getting on form, back to getting ourselves up to the level that we have performed at. So thank you very much, everybody, for being with me in this stream. I apologise that you have basically been my group therapy, allowing me to get all of my rants out. Let's hope for better. Let's hope that we can get a result midweek. Let's get to the international break. Let's regroup. And then let's have a real push, because that's what we need now, a real push to the end of the season when we get back from that international break, because there is no doubt that this is a massive promotion battle now. Borough are coming for us, and we've got to be able to stand up, be counted, and win that battle. So yes, thank you very much once again, everybody. Let's hope for better. Let's try and put today behind us. Up the Blades.